Today we're going to be doing a covered bridge in the snow. First we'll draw a horizon line or a tree line, and the line around the whole perimeter there is for testing your color as you go. Makes it a little easier before you put it onto the paper. I'm just drawing in a simple structure here for the covered bridge. Next we'll get out blue for the sky, and we'll randomly put in a nice rough sky. In watercolor, sometimes you don't want to be too detailed. You want to just a nice sort of slap it on. And then at first it looks kind of sloppy, and you think, "Oh, this is kind of weird." But when it dries and it mixes in with all the other pieces of the composition, it's rather attractive. And you'll see the same goes with this particular sample. Um, so we're just moving along, getting other colors, getting the background trees or limbs, foliage back there. So in other words, there's not just sky and covered bridge, there's something in the background. And putting it in the way I did there, just ripping across with the side of my brush, and then going back and putting points on it. It looks like there's trees back there. A bit of darkness for shadows where it meets the land. And next we'll be doing a little bit of orange for the side of the barn, or the side of the covered bridge. I keep calling it a barn, but it's essentially it's a covered bridge. Put in some shadow. Nice. We're going to be doing the lumps where all the rocks are hidden. So at the bottom of the painting, what we're doing here is we're putting in the shadows that the rocks cast once they're covered with snow. And they are essentially in random blobs that don't touch each other. They leave a little bit of white space in between each one. And then in the background, we throw shadows that are cast by trees, which of course, as you can tell, the trees aren't drawn yet, but they come later on. We'll reattach all those lines with trees. So here I'm just throwing in some random foliage shadows. And so the shadows are coming first, which may seem odd, but trust me, it's going to work out quite nice. Put in a bit of a darkness in the inside of the covered bridge. Along the eavesdrop, we should put some color. There you go. And then next up, I believe we'll be doing the main trees, which will be the ones up front. And they're done in a dark indigo. Indigo is one of my favorite colors. I use it in replacement for black. I find black deadens the painting, and indigo, as you see here, is really rich. That's our little sample up above there. And all the limbs go straight up to the sun. Try not to curly-cue them. Try to keep them as, straight and lifelike as you can. Already you're starting to see the composition come together. The whole point of it is the trees up front lead the eye to the back where they're drawn to the covered bridge. But you get a sense of depth in the painting, looking into. So I'm using a rigger brush now, which is a long-haired soft brush. It's a round brush. It's great for doing small shrubs and limbs, things like that, things where you need a light line. Putting some small, more high-detailed limbs on the trees. There's a couple along the bottom, new trees coming up. You just push them along. Put some color in the background on the general shadows on the snow tops. Throw in some color to sort of bounce off the barn a little bit. And do what we call flicking. And flicking is essentially putting a lot of paint on your brush and using your finger, you flick the brush onto the paper, getting sort of a splatter effect. A little bit of abstract. I don't always put the colors I use. Sometimes I use colors like, red and yellow. So that's about it. Hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any more questions, just give me a call.